Wait, so you're telling me all I have to do is add an air cleaner to achieve more horsepower, more torque, better performance, and I don't have to tune the bike?
That's right. Welcome to this week's Frequently Asked Question.
One of the biggest questions we've gotten since the introduction of the Harley-Davidson Milwaukee-Eight engine: do I need to tune my bike? Do I need to tune my bike when I add an air cleaner? Do I need to tune my bike when I add an exhaust? Do I need to tune my bike with factory components?
I can't tell you the number of times I've had questions on the forum, emails, and I know you get them on the phone. You know, people saying, well, I'm waiting to get my air cleaner, or I'm waiting to do my exhaust mod until I get a tuner. And the fact is that M8s don't come from the factory too lean.
Right. Unlike their predecessor, the twin cam, where you absolutely needed to optimize the fuel management on the twin cam. Not the case on the Milwaukee-Eight.
Yeah, the twin cams were terrible. They came from the factory with the stock exhaust and stock air cleaner. This started in 2007. Before 2007, it wasn't horrible. But starting in 2007 and forward, they came from the factory at like 16.5 and 17-1 on the AFR. And ideal for cruising is 14.5. And for wide open throttle, like you see on the dyno charts, that should be down around 12, 12.5. And the twin cams were just horrible. I mean, they were just running far, far too lean from the factory, and that's carried over. And people think that the M8s are the same, and they're not.
They're not.
The M8s are not too lean from the factory, and we were surprised. We found that out when the M8s first came out, and we got them on the dyno with a sniffer. What's a sniffer, you asked? Did you ask what's a sniffer?
Yeah, what's a sniffer?
What's a sniffer have to do with the Harley? A sniffer is when you put a tube up the exhaust pipe, up near where the O2 sensor is. You want ideally at cruising to be around 14.5-1 air-fuel ratio, AFR. And when you go to wide open throttle, really gunning it, you want to be down around 12 AFR, 12 air to fuel ratio. And we were really surprised when we put the sniffer up, the first M8. And let's look at the charts here. And this shows the blue line is the stock tune. So that's the OEM tune. And you see the blue line is staying between 14 and 15 AFR, which is where you want it to be. And again, if this was a twin cam and we were doing it at cruising, it'd be up around 16.5 to 17. Way, way too lean. And then the red line is showing the improved tune. In other words, a fine, a Power Vision tune, one that's been tweaked and made good. And it's showing, again, between 14 and 15 AFR. So there's not much difference. The peaks are when we're shifting. This one down low here, that's when we got on the throttle a little heavier with the Power Vision tune.
Now in this chart, you will see that on a completely stock Milwaukee-Eight, the AFR is still good at wide open throttle. It's still between 12 and 13. Adding the DK Custom Outlaw 587 air cleaner system, the AFR at wide open throttle is still between 12 and 13. So there's relatively no change to the AFR. You've essentially increased the air intake by adding a high flow air cleaner.
The M8 tune is right where it should be, between 12 and 13 at wide open throttle, with the factory air cleaner, and the ECM adjusts so that it's still between 12 and 13 with a high flow air cleaner.
So we've looked at the AFR with the factory air cleaner, and we've looked at the AFR with a high flow air cleaner. And the AFR is how you can gauge how healthy your fuel delivery is. Now let's take a look at the power.
It's going to obviously be higher on a 114 than the 107. But what we're looking at is the difference, okay? So this first chart shows, again, OEM tune. And I know we're repeating it and being Johnny One Note on it, but we get so many questions about the OEM tune and people assuming that they need to change it. You don't need to change it. So with the OEM tune, the OEM air cleaner, the OEM exhaust, you see this chart here, what the the horsepower line and the torque line. And then the only thing that changed was Outlaw 587 air cleaner, a true high flow air cleaner was added. And you see that there is a 10% increase in horsepower and a 7% increase in torque. So look at those lines, smoothly higher every step of the way, higher, and that is with the stock tune. We already looked at the AFR. The AFR was good. So we're not getting that increase in horsepower or torque, but sacrificing the engine by getting too lean. So we already know we're not too lean, but we're getting more horsepower and more torque with the factory tune just by adding a high flow air cleaner. Dwayne, what about adding a tuner? Is there any benefit to adding a tuner to an M8?
Certainly, there's always a benefit to optimizing the fuel delivery. I mean, that there always is. It's just not required. As you can see in these charts, if you do add the tune, ignoring the overall numbers that are achieved because this is a trike, you only see over a 3% increase in horsepower and torque. So per dollar spent, you get a better gain in power by simply upgrading the air cleaner. Now, yeah, adding the air cleaner and adding the tuner, you will see the most results, but it's just not required. So per dollar spent, the air cleaner is the best option to start.
And here's a chart where we added the air cleaner and optimized the tune, and we went from a 10 and a 7 to an 11 and a 9% increase.
Right, and the bulk of that increase was due to the air cleaner upgrade.
Right. So a tune does help, but it is not required to keep the bike from running too lean, and it's nowhere near the best bang for your buck. The best bang for your buck is adding a free-flowing air cleaner, letting the good tune and the ECM adjust for it, and then the next best is getting the exhaust free-flowing, but that's a whole other video. So the bottom line is that M8s do not run too lean from the factory, whether you keep it the factory air cleaner and factory exhaust. They also don't run too lean if you add a free-flowing air cleaner and or a free-flowing exhaust. The tune on an M8 is not damaging to the bike like it is on a twin cam. The tune on an M8 is good. Is it the best? No. You can do a little bit better with the tuner, but it is perfectly fine to add a free-flowing air cleaner and or free-flowing exhaust without changing the tune. Even though Harley got a lot of things right with the M8, i.e. that the AFR is in a good range, they still have a heat problem. And we'll link that video above, that video series above, to they have the same heat problem twin cam does. And it's not because the AFR is because a multitude of other reasons. So, but you don't need to worry about the AFR and the M8. That's the bottom line. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up.
Hit that notification bell so you'll be updated when our next video comes out.
And if you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please subscribe. It helps us out a lot and it's free, doesn't cost you anything.
And if you have a tuner on your Christmas list, mark it off, get an air cleaner instead.
Share the video with your friends. A lot of people are still under the misimpression that M8s run lean like the twin cams do. You all ride safe out there.